If you want to play college basketball, this is the video you need to watch. We're going to break down 10 concepts that you need to know regardless of what level of basketball you think you can play at the next level. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to look at Division I, Division II, and Division III basketball, and you're going to see that at every level, these 10 things happen on a regular basis, so coaches are looking for players who understand them, and it's going to give you an opportunity to get on the court if you can do them well when you show up on campus. And if you're a coach, you need to be teaching your athletes these concepts. So I've linked a bunch of videos in the description that go into depth on all of these concepts. But before we get into it, here's a word from our sponsor. Coaches, if you're looking for a new customizable board, then Hoops King is the place for you. Their website is easy to navigate and you can customize your board down to the most personal details. And having a two-sided feature will allow you to keep track of everything that you need to come game time. And you can select your line options. So whether you're in high school, college, or the NBA, there's a board just for you, which is one of the reasons the Los Angeles Lakers purchased their boards from Hoops King. And I can personally guarantee you that the logo that you customize on the website will look exactly the same way in person, if not better. And they guarantee swift delivery, so you'll have your new board within 10 days of ordering. The link to their website is in the description, or just type in hoopsking.com. One of the first things you're going to be asked to do at the next level is to learn concepts and terminology. So even little things like a dribble handoff being referred to as a DHO, all of these things are stuff that you're going to have to know. For example, a rip screen is any time that someone sets a back screen at a diagonal for a post player to go to the block where they're typically going to throw it in for a post touch. And one of the most popular concepts offensively right now is referred to as a zoom action. And that's when you have a down screen into a DHO or dribble handoff like we just talked about. And because ball screens are so popular in today's game, the concept of RAM is any time that you set a screen for the guy who's running to set a ball screen. And a lot of teams are starting to play more of this 5-out formation where the big catches the ball at the top of the key and you have this spacing. That's typically referred to as delay, and a lot of teams will get into zoom action like you just saw when they run their offense out of delay. Another starter to an offense that's pretty common is what's referred to as Iverson or Ivo, and this is where you have 1-4 across and you're going to have a guard go over the top and a guy go underneath, and from here there's a lot of different things that you can do. And a lot of people will also start out of horns, which is where you have two people setting screens right here at the elbows, and then you'll have two guys in the corner. So hopefully this is a good check for how close or far away you are from the things that you're going to have to understand. The next area is cutting. Moving off the ball is a requirement at the college level, probably no matter where you're playing at. So little things like what would be referred to as a Laker cut, where you throw the ball into the post and you're going to be asked to cut as hard as you can off the ball for spacing, whether you touch it or not. And the thing with cutting is that you never know when you're going to be open, so you have to cut with an expectation that if you get the ball, you're ready to make a play. And there's a lot of great opportunities for you to cut. So in transition, if you can ever get behind the vision of the defense, these are things that coaches look for when they're recruiting. And the best piece of advice that I can give you on this topic is always pay attention to the vision and movement of your matchup. Anytime that they get caught staring at the ball and don't see you, those are great times to cut. And the other situation that you need to look for is when your defender rotates over to help on dribble penetration. But the biggest thing that I can stress is cutting even if you're not going to get the basketball. Because a lot of times your cut is going to draw defense to the paint, which is going to open up shots for your teammates, and coaches want to put players on the court who do things unselfishly. The third topic is reading ball screens, and depending upon who you play for, this might be the most important. You need to understand ball screen coverages, and that means if someone says drop coverage, you need to understand that the big is sagging off and the guard is probably chasing you over the top. If somebody were to use the term hard hedging, that means that that big is going to go up vertically trying to cut you off while the guard gets back in front, and these are opportunities for you to get the ball out of your hands and get it to somebody else. If you hear the term ice or blue or downing, that means that they're going to force the ball sideline and baseline, and they're going to low show, and these are opportunities for short rolls and pick and pops. And the last thing that you need to understand is if teams are switching, you need to have an understanding of how to take advantage of these two mismatches that have just been created. And this isn't just for guards, post players need to understand this as well, because if a team is in drop coverage, you need to know the difference between getting a short roll and scoring it over the big, and you have to recognize when the big overcommits to the guard and you can get all the way to the rim. And there's also a lot of nuance to ball screens, so understanding how to flip ball screens into a step up, and guards knowing how to snake and then make a decision based off what the big does. And probably the most popular thing in ball screens right now for guys who can pick and pop is ghosting ball screens. Now, two of the skills that you have to have at the college level is making free throws and standstill threes. Free throws should be obvious, but if you want to be in the game when it matters at the end, you have to be a reliable free throw shooter, and that probably means it needs to be 75% or above, because if you aren't reliable, teams will foul you and the coach will have to keep you on the bench. Now, making standstill threes could be controversial, but let me explain why I have this in here. A lot of people will watch shots like this where a guy makes this routine catch and shoot three and thinks that's easy. But when you are transitioning from high school to college, the line moves back. Now on this shot, this is where the high school line is actually at, and he is standing about 6 feet behind the three-point line, and that's where you're going to need to confidently and comfortably make three-pointers. And the reason why is because your offense needs for everybody on the court to be respected. Notice how this defender is flying at the shooter because he doesn't want to give up an open shot. But if you're on the court and you can't shoot threes at all, in situations like this where you have to catch it and take a one bounce into a mid-range pull-up, you're going to really struggle and stall the offense, but you're also going to struggle individually, because in situations where you catch the ball on the perimeter, guys aren't going to close out to you hard. They're going to force you to shoot threes that you don't want to shoot and contest late. But here's the worst part. This is the same guy who I just showed you that doesn't shoot it well, and his defender doesn't have to respect him, so now he becomes an ultimate help defender, tagging in the paint and making sure nobody's open because he's not worried about the ball getting thrown out there. This is why you need to be able to make standstill threes. The next topic is reading off-ball screens. So there's really only two places that you're going to receive an off-ball screen. The first is a down screen. And in a down screen, you can either curl, which means you go towards the ball, or you can fade, which means you fade away from the ball. And you're going to need to be able to make this decision in a split second by reading your defender. So on this down screen at the top, you can recognize that this defender is chasing him around the screen, so he needs to curl in this situation. But if his defender decided to do what's called shooting the gap, which means trying to meet him on the other side, that's when he needs to fade to create that separation and then make a play from there. And all of these same rules apply on a flare screen. So if this defender were to go underneath this flare, he should fade back for a catch and shoot three. But because he's going to chase him off of this flare, he makes the right read, recognizes it, and curls to the rim. The next topic is simple but so important, and it's the extra pass. In this situation, the best shooter on UConn's team could shoot this catch and shoot three, but he turns it down to get a better shot by making the extra pass to his teammate. So you need to have vision on the court and know where your teammates are all the time. As he catches this kick out, he already knows his teammate's open and he's looking to throw the one more right on the catch. And sometimes there's going to be more than one extra pass. So as this ball gets kicked out and he drives a bad closeout, he makes the extra pass to the wing, but then the wing makes the extra pass to the corner for the rhythm three. And I love this example. Cam Spencer drives downhill and kicks it to the corner. There's an extra pass and another extra pass, and he ends up getting the open three. Now these next two topics go hand in hand, and they are the basis of all good offense no matter what system you're in, and it's winning closeouts. Anytime that the ball gets thrown to you and your defender is closing out, you need to be able to win that closeout by getting by him or hitting a shot. So essentially on every closeout, you should always be looking to do one of three things. Either make the shot before he gets there, drive him and beat him to the right, or drive him and beat him to the left. Now this is something that is so simple, but so many people miss opportunities to do it. Anytime somebody closes out, you can essentially look at it as a door frame. and whichever side of the door frame your defender is on, you should try and drive that other direction. Now that doesn't mean you don't ever go the direction that he's coming because of momentum, but typically their closeout is going to tell you which way to drive. So as this ball gets driven and kicked out, you will notice by this closeout that he should drive him to his right hand or our left. And then on this closeout, it's even more obvious that this is where he should drive the basketball to get downhill. Being able to win closeouts is the fastest way to impact the offense. But if you struggle to get by your defender, here's a tip, and it's referred to as stampeding your catch, which basically means you're running through the ball as you're catching it. And you can see on this kick out to the wing that he's already moving downhill as the ball is hitting his hands. Now, one of the most underutilized ways to win closeouts is using a shot fake. There's nothing wrong with shooting late contested threes, and there's nothing wrong with driving past people. But if you can use a well-timed shot fake, it's going to allow you to get downhill, and then you can make great decisions from there, which leads us to our next topic, which is downhill decision making. Anytime that you have the ability to get past your defender, you are typically going to have two levels of reads that you need to make, a first level and a second level, and you've got to be able to make the decision whether to pass it or keep it. This is one of the biggest adjustments to the college game because when you drive downhill, you should almost expect for there to be help defense and be looking to get rid of it. But because of the high school and AAU game, guys think that when they beat their matchup, they should be able to score, but at the college level, you're going to see help the majority of the time. And the quickest way for you to lose interest from a coach is for you to drive downhill, have a wide open teammate, and decide to shoot a tough, heavily contested shot that you don't make, all because you didn't see that there was help coming. So when you draw that second defender, you need to be looking for where his man is at because he's probably open, so don't shoot a tough shot over two people. And you also have to understand how defenses rotate. So as he drives, this man's going to step up, but you also have to take into account that he's going to crack back to take away the layup, and you're going to need to kick this out to the perimeter. And you'll see this exact same read happen in this Mississippi State game where he gets downhill. Here's your help defender, but he is cracking back to the corner, so the ball needs to go out to the wing. And the hardest thing about making these decisions is you can't ever predetermine or assume anything. You have to make the read. So don't ever assume he's going to help and you need to pass it, but also don't assume that you're just going to be able to get to the rim and no one's going to stop you. Every downhill drive is its own situation. You can see here that in transition, he had no business trying to shoot this shot when he had somebody open in the corner, and in a similar play, he makes the right choice to dump it off and he gets an easy dunk because of it. And post players, you have to make these same decisions anytime you catch a short roll out of a ball screen. Now, topic number 9 is finishing. There are 4 things that you need to be able to do at the college level. You need to be able to finish it with your right hand. You need to be able to finish it with your left hand. You need to be able to finish it over shot blockers, and you need to be able to finish it off 2 feet and through contact. This is the area that I see the most growing pains as guys transition to the college game because they're not used to the physicality, but they're also so accustomed to always shooting it with their dominant hand that when they're forced to shoot it with their non-dominant, they find out that they're not very good at it. So this is an area that I'm telling you, start working on right now. Coaches, make your players finish through contact with both hands at full speed so that they don't get to the college level and realize how much work they have to put in. Now, obviously, the level that you play at is going to make a big difference with how physical and long and athletic the guys that you're playing against are, but you can see from this tape that the same shots are being missed at all 3 of these levels. And like we learned with downhill decision making, if you're constantly trying to shoot it over help defenders, you should be passing it. And the last area is offensive rebounding. And the reason why I bring this up is because unless you are the point guard or an absolute knockdown shooter, more than likely you are going to be asked to go pursue offensive rebounds, so you might as well start learning how to do it now. And the thing with rebounding is as soon as you start putting pressure on the offensive glass, it's going to bring everybody into the paint, and that's going to allow long rebounds to go to you rather than the opponent. And the two main things that rebounding comes down to is anticipation and effort. If you can anticipate when your teammate's gonna shoot it, you can get a jump on attacking the offensive glass, and you just have to put in the effort possession after possession, and coaches will notice it and want you on the floor. Again, if you want more information on these concepts, make sure you check out the description. I've linked videos that go into much more detail on all of it. And make sure you check out the defensive video as well, where we break down the 10 things you're going to need to know on the defensive end. Thanks for coming through. We'll see you next time in the film room.